This episode of the Old Dogs REI Network is brought to you by Mino Studio.
In a world where jobs are how most people make money, one man, one desire, one challenge dares to break the mold. Welcome to the Old Dogs REI Network, where we don't work for money. Money works for us. Coming soon. Viewer discretion advised.
Welcome to the Old Dogs REI Network, where cash flow is king. Real estate investing, the means, so you can enjoy your retirement dreams. This is the show where we cut right to the chase. No sales pitch, no long monologues, just simple how-to real estate investing advice, so you can earn the passive income you need to enjoy your retirement today. And now, your host and chief old dog, Bill Manacero.
Welcome to the Old Dogs REI Network. I'm your host, Bill Manacero, and this is a show where 50-plussers and anyone else who wants to join us get solid, no sales pitch real estate investing advice to help generate real cash flow. This podcast airs twice weekly on Mondays and Fridays, and if you aren't already a subscriber, go to iTunes, type in Old Dog, spelled D-A-W-G, find our podcast, and subscribe. We've got a fun show for you today. This is a gentleman who, let me ask you a question here, actually, before I get started, okay? Is it possible to invest in real estate if you are over 50s? You got to put all these together. If you are over 50 years old, live in a really pricey part of America, while earning a measly parochial school teacher's salary of $52,000 a year. Okay, I'll give you a couple minutes to answer here. Well, okay, let me answer the question for you. According to today's guest, it's not just possible, but it can be phenomenally lucrative at the same time, creating life-altering financial freedom. Today's guest is Michael Swann, a.k.a. Swanny, who earns a modest parochial school teacher income, is 53 years of age, is a PE teacher who lives in San Diego, and has used this valuable real estate concept known as trading up through the power of the 1031 exchange to accumulate approximately $7 million in assets and rising in real estate. Presently, he's earning $160,000 in passive rental income and soon to be $200,000, primarily tax-deferred cash flow each year. All of this has been accomplished in a short 7 years. So if a lowly paid parochial school teacher can do this, so can you. Well, Michael, what a great story, and welcome to the Old Dogs REI Network.
Hi, Bill. How are you doing?
I am doing great. I am so stoked. I mean, you're my neighbor here. I was born in San Diego, and I live just, not even an hour and a half away from you at most. So I'm real stoked and just kind of bummed that I haven't met you in person yet. But I am so excited to have you on here.
So, Bill, by any chance, your last name is Manacero. Is that Italian?
That is very Italian, yes.
Well, I am half Italian. My mother's maiden name was Ranelli, so I kind of had an idea that you were a paisano there for me. So,
yes, definitely a paisan. Hey.
Yeah.
Well, it's great having you on. Well, I know everybody here is probably tired of hearing me talk here. I want to hear you talk. I want to hear your story. This is a great story. You do qualify as an old dog, so it's really neat because you're kind of just you've only been doing this for 7 years. So I think you're going to provide a lot of encouragement and inspiration for a lot of people listening. So tell us your story.
Sure. I started with real estate when I was 46 years old. I bought my first little rental condo at 46 years old.
And that was in San Diego?
That was in San Diego at 46 years old in 2011. Ooh. The reason that I started to buy real estate was I'm a parochial school, Catholic school teacher, and I teach a reading and PE at the school. And I had a perceived economic catastrophe, I thought. I thought I was going to lose quite a bit of salary in 2011 when I wasn't making very much to start with. I also was teaching at Miramar College, a little community college. I was teaching reading and study skills, starting that at 42 years old, and stopped that when I was 52 years old. And Miramar College also had some state budget problems at that time, and I was making about $6,000 a summer teaching for Miramar College as an adjunct professor. And they had some budget problems, and they just went dark for 3 summers. And my little parochial school I was teaching at, I thought I was going to lose about $5,500 from that also, because they were building a gym, and they just the principal just said, well, you can do the athletic directorship for free if you want to, but we're trying to build a gym, so we can't afford your $5,500 or whatever I was getting for the athletic directorship. So I thought I was going to lose $12,000 in one school year. And as you know, I didn't make very much money to start with. And so I figured out at that time that my economic ladder, my financial ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. I was depending on the Catholic diocese. I was depending on the state for my freedom and my family's financial freedom. My wife is a special education aide at a little school around the corner, and she only works 5 hours a day. She doesn't make very much money either, and I really had to take care of my family. And so it was the perfect storm in 2011. If you know anything about real estate in 2011, I could pick up little condos in Santee, Lakeside, a little community close in San Diego here. I could pick them up for 2-bedroom, 1-baths for $93,000. And the 3-bedroom, 2-baths were going for like $125,000 to $150,000. So my parents were on kind of a fixed income. So we decided to kind of combine our money and put little down payments on each little condo, one condo at a time. And I did everything from refinancing my house to do so. I cashed in those stupid 401ks, IRAs, cashed those things in, paid the stupid penalty for investing in them in the first place, and we bought one little condo at a time. And they were cash flowing $300, $400, $500, $600. And over the course of 2011, 2012, we bought 10 of them here in San Diego. And they were cash flowing about $50,000 a year, which is pretty good for the kind of money I was making.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of like how I got started.
Oh, wow. So you had to clean out the 401k, and what was your other source?
Well, IRA. It was IRA. I had a SEP IRA from a previous career, and so I had a SEP IRA, a few $100,000 in that, and I was really trying to figure out how would I take that SEP IRA and get it to $1 million someday when I retire, and I was trying to do the math, trying to buy small cap, mid cap, large cap, international, and play that game, and I figured, okay, well, maybe I can get to $1 million by the time I'm 67 when it's Social Security kicks in. Maybe at 67 I can get to that $1 million. And then the financial planners, when I met with them, they said, oh yeah, when you get to $1 million, you could take like 4% of your nest egg and not outlive your money by about 90 years old. So I started to do the math, and I figured out, wait a second here, you're telling me I'm going to have maybe $40,000 a year, and I have to pay taxes on that, and live in San Diego with my $1,900 a month mortgage? I don't think so. So my financial ladder was leaning against the wrong wall, and that's why I started to invest in real estate in 2011, 2012.
So that's pretty good. 11 condos in
10.
Oh, 10 condos in just a couple of years.
Yes, 2011, 2012.
And so you probably went up to your max in terms of mortgages, right? Or no, actually, I guess you could use your wife too.
We had you have the first four, and then you go to portfolio lenders. You can get at least 10 there, but at 10, we had a plan basically that if these things actually double in value, we got to sell them. Of course, I knew nothing about the 1031 exchange, but I'm a teacher, so I did a lot of research and everything and learned about the 1031 exchange, and that you can exchange rental properties. You can sell a rental property and then buy something the same value or greater value and never pay. I shouldn't say never pay taxes. Defer your taxes on the sale. So that's when we came up with the idea that we're going to sell these when they double, and we'll 1031 exchange them, and we exchange them for apartment complexes in Northeast Ohio. And now we have 122 front doors, 8 apartment complexes. We have 160,000 in cash flow, and we're repositioning these value plays and increasing the value of these properties exponentially, because the multifamily business plan is a lot different than a single family business plan.
Sure. So let me just ask you a couple of questions here. Like the condos, did they have homeowners fees associated with them or not?
Yeah, it's another great question. So here we go. So let's just start with the one little one. So let's say we basically bought one for $93,000, 2-bedroom, 1-bath in Lakeside, little community here in San Diego. Bought it for 2-bedroom, 1-bath for $93,000. The thing was renting for about $1,100. We put 25% down. HOA fees was $200. You got your insurance, $350. I was teaching 60 hours a week, plus I was managing all these properties myself, which is invaluable. When I first started 2011, 2012, vetting the tenants, everything, advertising. I learned a lot. I learned a lot of great secrets if anybody wants to do like little single family, of how you can get those things rented out, and just some secrets of some of the, like you said, you're going to ask me about apps and all those kind of things later, of what I use to be able to get those things rented out within a 2-week period all the time.
God, that's great. Great turnaround. I mean, that's a lot, again, a lot to buy over 2 years. What was like 5 a year almost, right? I mean, I guess you split it up.
Remember, these are all short sales, foreclosures, bank-owned properties that we were picking up at that time.
So you're already getting them under market as it was, and so I imagine the appreciation was pretty quick on those.
Yeah, and I'm very amped. So when I bought a property, before I bought a property, and I was negotiating, I was already placing fake Craigslist ads every 2 hours. I would be pressing the button to have a new ad go up to the top, a different ad format to go to the top. And I wanted to make sure that I was going to get the rents that I needed for the cash flow that I needed. And then my phone was ringing off the hook in May, June, July, August. And we could get the rents that we wanted to, and we could make the cash flow that we wanted to. And then, I did like 10 of those that way. And only one of the sellers caught me and said, "Hey, what are you doing? Why are you advertising it before you purchased the product? You haven't even signed up." And I said, "Oh yeah, I'm just testing the market. I'll take the ad down right away." But I don't like to leave a lot to chance.
Yeah, and just for people to know too that one of the, and this is a sort of a reality of advertising to promote your rentals is on Craigslist. When it first comes out, it has a high ranking, but isn't it over even a period of hours that drops down in ranking, and eventually it's kind of buried in there with a ton of other ones.
Yeah, there's so many people will say you can't do that. They're not going to allow you to do that. Like so a lot of property managers, what they want to do is they want to push a button once. So they want to do like Zillow and push it once a month, right. Or they want to do Craigslist and push it once every 2 days. No, it's very easy on the Craigslist. All you do is just press a button every 2 hours with a different ad. So one ad may say, "Are you a little country?" if it's more like out there, or another ad will say, "Classy." So that way it kind of hits different demographics to try to get their attention with different pictures, of course, of the first picture they see. So that way, every 2 hours, another one is going up there. And so I have 8 different ads, so I can just keep pressing that button. That's for Craigslist.
Right.
I did find out another great tip. We'll talk about that later. Let's talk about later about the apps and things like that.
Yeah,
later.
sure. Okay, so you got these 10 properties, and now did you sell them all at the same time, or did you just sell a portion of them to get the funds?
That would be a nightmare, obviously, to sell them all at one time.
Okay, tell me what you did.
You could tell I'm pretty amped here, and I calculated everything, and I never put a property in San Diego up for sale. In 2015, 2016, 2017, I never put up a property for sale if I did not have an exchange property almost ready to sign on the dotted line, like LOI already submitted, where they have kind of agreed before the purchase sale agreement. So I never put one of my properties in San Diego up for sale until I already have my exchange property almost ready to rock and roll on the other end. But of course, if you know anything about multifamily, it takes a lot of time from the purchase sale agreement to when you close. And so I just wanted to make sure that I had that in line, because in San Diego, they sell very fast.
Oh, wow.
2015, 2016, 2017, they were selling very fast.
So tell me about your first apartment then, and how that happened with the coordination. Yeah.
Well, first of all, we got to back up the truck a little bit, because there was a teacher I was teaching with at the school I was telling you about, the Catholic school, parochial school, and the teacher was telling me that she was from this little area in Ohio, and her mom and stepdad did property management. They owned some properties too, and they managed her properties. They were managing about 30, 40 little single family there in Ohio. And she was telling me about how much she was getting them for. We're talking 2013, 2014. She was telling me how much she was getting these little duplexes, half duplexes, single families over there. And so she was just telling me how much she was getting for them. And I was starting to do the math. I'm like, really? You mean you can buy a $60,000 all fixed up duplex, and you can get $1,500 a month for it, for both sides? She's like, yeah, I do that all the time. I got 8 of them. And so I said, okay, can I have your little residential agent and I talked to your mom and stepdad who do the property management. Can I have their contacts? Because I think I want to buy a little duplex or a little half duplex, because they allow you to buy half duplexes, believe it or not.
Isn't that a single family home, half duplex?
Yeah. So they have like a fence separating the backyard, and
right.
And that's it. That's in Ohio. You had a guest on before that. Those were in Euclid, Ohio, where we were buying those. And so you had a guest on earlier that specialized in Ohio, a broker. But that area, that was in 2014, 2015, when we were purchasing those little half duplexes, one single family. As I said, $30,000 all in for each side, fixed up and everything, and they rent for $700, $800 a month. And so the math just made a lot of sense. And so we started buying. I started using my cash that I was hoarding from the condos, and we started buying those little half duplexes over there, and we started buying them, and we used $240,000 in cash. And we bought all those little single family. We didn't think we could get loans for those, and so that was pretty good. It was cash flowing $3,400 a month on those 8 little single family. I shouldn't say cash flowing, but yeah, it was actually cash flowing. $3,400 a month was the actual cash flow on those properties. And then when I started doing more research, going to seminars and learning what do you do with vast equity like we had here in San Diego, I did not want to lose that equity in another crash when they doubled in value. And so so then I started contacting all the commercial brokers, and that's a tough situation. I really, people call me all the time and say, how do I get started in an apartment complex like you did? And that's tough. So when you first start talking to the brokers, some of them are like glorified used car salesmen, and they'll sell you down the river in a heartbeat. So my first 2 were dogs.
Well, let's talk about the first 2. How many units and how many condos did you have to sell?
The first one was just one little condo.
Okay.
It took $100,000. I had $100,000 that I could 1031 exchange from one little condo. I really thought, since I was only getting like $5,000-6,000 cash flow on a little condo in San Diego, I could buy a 10 unit in Ohio, and I could cash flow $12,000 out of the gate, which would be double that. And I really thought I was going to buy a yield deal. I was kind of enamored with shiny things like new windows and countertops and those kind of things. And the broker that sold me the deal.
It was a 10-unit deal?
Yeah, I was kind of conned a little bit. And so I went in there and didn't really know how to what I was looking for. I wanted a yield deal, but it's very hard when the owner has all their finances, jumbled. The one that wants to get rid of the place, probably padding the books. The broker is giving you pro formas, and you're pretty excited about all these nice little countertops and these windows and things like this, and it's fully rented supposedly. And then when you take over the property, so we bought this property at $420,000. We bought it at $420,000. We put all that money down, the 1031 exchange. We put that down, and
that was $100,000, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And so as soon as we bought the property, of course, the bleep hits the fan. As soon as we bought the property, and if you buy a yield deal, it's supposed to be like cash flowing right off the bat and everything. So as soon as we bought the property, we had 5 of the same family living in the complex, 10 units. And so I thought that would be great for building community. They'll take care of the property. But as soon as we took over, 2 of those family members were not paying anything at all. Not paying a dime. Not paying a dime. And then we had to kick them out. And the mother tigress, who's the one that got them all in there originally, she started just going ballistic. And every time we try to rent it out, she's bad talking the place and everything else. And so that was very difficult when you have that we had physical occupancy when we bought the property, but not economic occupancy. So if an owner knows what they're doing, a seller knows what they're doing, and a broker, is very dishonest and knows what they're doing, they can just 6 months prior, they can pad the books and they can start paying the rent. And you wouldn't know any the wiser when you go in there and look at a little 10 unit, especially as a newbie, because that's what the brokers are sending you. They're sending you deals that nobody else really wants when you're a new person in the apartment complex in the commercial realm. Now, once you start to get a couple properties, then you get the good brokers saying, well, wait a second, why aren't you buying with me? And then you start getting some deals.
Like the pocket listings. And
then you start getting some deals. So that one went bad really fast. There was just a comedy of errors, and it was supposed to be a yield play. And you got to be very careful with commercial properties because these are 5-year terms and another 5-year term, 5 plus 5. They're 20-year amortizations, and you have a 5-year term for your interest rate, and then 5 years later it's going to be reset. They use the FHLB rate out there, Federal Home Loan Bank rate in Ohio, the little banks, and it's going to be reset at the new FHLB rate 5 years from when you start. If you want to do another 5 years, plus the margin or whatever, the prime, whatever it is. And so when you're doing multifamily nowadays, you got to be really wary of that because you could start right now at 5.6%. 5 years from now, it looks like the interest rates are not going to be going down. We're going to be at a 7.5%. So you better have a good exit strategy, refinance strategy, 1031 strategy again, because these are not 30-year loans you're talking about here, like residential.
So how did you get out of this situation? I mean, did that family eventually vacate?
So we got that one. Then we got another one. That was just one situation at that 110 unit. But there were other comedies of situations that occurred that I didn't feel like that particular area that they sold me, as being a C-class neighborhood when it really was a D plus neighborhood. I got sold something that I really didn't see being able to increase the NOI, being able to make it a value play. So other things happened, and we put about $75,000 into that thing over the course of 2.5 years. We also bought another one that same year in 2015, in that September of 2015, that was in a nicer area. But again, there were logistics issues. In the first 3 months of ownership, the roof blew off. And then we had mysterious vacancies again, and I thought it was a yield play. So I kind of learned my lesson. That one I put 125 in a 1031 exchange, and over the course of 2 years, we put about 75,000 into that thing too. Plus the other one, we put 75,000 out of pocket, never made any money. And so after 2 years, and remember these commercial loans, my lender every single May says, okay, the credit analyst says I need your tax returns. I need your operating statements. I need to see that your debt to service coverage ratio is above that 1.2%. And it wasn't. On those two properties, it was not. So they said, oh, I got an idea for you. Why don't you do this? Well, after 2 years of ownership, they said, why don't you do this? Why don't you just take out another 100,000 from your pocket and pay off this loan, and then take 100,000 from your pocket and pay off that loan. So that way we can recast your loan, and now it'll cash flow for you, and it'll do well for you. And I said, wait a second. I just put 75,000 into these two dogs, each of them, plus the down payment. And I'm not making any money. Property. I want to doing like a charity case for my property manager. I don't want these properties. So can I sell them? And they said, oh yeah, sure. You could sell them. That would be a good idea too. But remember, you have a penalty for paying your loan off early. So if you pay it off in the first year, it's a 4% penalty. If you pay it off in the second year, it's a 3% penalty of the loan balance. If you pay it off the next year, it's 2% and 1%. We were in like the 2% penalty, and then we negotiated that to be down to a 1% of the loan balance on those two properties. One we paid $420,000, one we paid $500,000. The one that we sold that we bought for $420,000, we sold that thing for $320,000. So we took a huge loss on that one, but it was just a waste of time, money, effort, everything. And then the second one, we still had that 75,000 out of pocket and the 125, but we didn't lose as much on that second one. But again, in that same year, I started to buy more and more and more using the repositioning of value play business model, because I thought that would be too hard in the beginning of doing repositioning of value play in the beginning. And so we started to buy deals that made more sense from burnt out old landlords. We just sold those last two dogs this past December. And so the bank has those bad loans off our books. And now we have 8 apartment complexes that are true value plays that we have really been increasing the NOI exponentially, because we're buying from burnt out old landlords that are just not doing it right. And then, of course, as soon as I bought 2, then the good brokers came out of the woodwork saying, hey, wait a second, why aren't you buying from me? And then I was getting pocket listings, and I'm getting pocket listings to this day where we're buying products like $8,000 a unit under market with not a lot of rehab, just the owners are old, burnt out. Some of them, were dead, and the son was handling the estate, things like that. Those are the kind of deals we're getting now, which, if you know anything about the apartment complex business model, when you can increase the NOI $100 a unit, $200 a unit, that exponentially increases the value of your complex, not to mention the cash flow and everything else. And so we've kind of evolutionized to this, where we've increased the value of these properties exponentially. And so now that's why we have the $7 million in property and about $3 million in equity, after 7 years of investing in real estate.
What did you do differently now? Okay, you learned from those first 2.
Yeah, let's go back time frame. So we started selling in 2015. We bought that one in May of 2015, the 10 units with the same family inside of 5 different units. And in September of 2015, we bought that 8 units that we paid $500,000 for. We put $125,000 in 1031 exchange, and then about the same time we bought a our first real true repositioning deal. That one really was an incredible deal because the owner, the seller, was like 88 years old. Her husband bought the property 15 years before. He died, and so she decided to move into the complex. She was just way too close to everything. She had a little handyman living on site that was rigging things, not really replacing things, and they had a little laundry room next to her unit. And she told me, she said, Michael, I found it disconcerting that people were walking by my unit to do their laundry. So I just turned the hookups around into my unit, and I turned the hookups around into my unit, and then I made them go out and do their own laundry. And so it was coin operated laundry. And so when you find an old owner, an old seller that wants to get out, and they're just doing a lot of things wrong. They're paying for their water, but every toilet is high flush, 5-point-something gallons per minute. They don't put tamper-proof aerators on their kitchen faucet and on their bathroom faucet. They don't put they have a new product, a Niagara massager shower head that only gets like 1.7 gallons per minute. And the tenants love it, but it saves a lot of water. The toilets, there's these new products from Niagara also, 0.80 gallons per minute. When you're talking the difference between 5-point-something gallons per minute and 0.80 gallons per minute, that's just stupid. That's just you're losing money down your drain, down your sewer.
Literally
down the drain on all those water saving features. And if you know anything about the apartment complex business model, every dollar I increase the NOI, which is the total money coming in minus the expenses, not including my debt service, my loan, and not including fixed expenses like windows, flooring. Those do not go against your NOI, because those are CapEx fixed expenses. If you know anything about the multifamily business model, every dollar we increase that NOI, the bank says it's worth $10 more than I paid. So this little one, we're going on 3 years of ownership. We're cash flowing $24,000 a year now, and we have increased the NOI in that thing about $20,000. So we've increased the value of it $200,000. We only paid $592,000 for the property, and with the $144,000 down payment, which was a 1031 exchange, plus we put about $60,000 in it, just basic make-readies and things like that, and fixing things up as tenants moved out throughout the 3 years. So we've invested $200,000, and we've increased the value $200,000, not to mention the $24,000 cash flow rolling in every year.
That's great. So what is it valued at now?
Yeah, so now it's valued about approximately $800,000. We bought it at $592,000.
That's great. That's great.
So those are the kind of deals we're really doing now.
How many units was that?
Pocket listings. You're not going to find those on LoopNet or CoStar.
What unit? How many units was that first one?
That was a 15 unit. We bought for $592,000, and that was about $39,000 a door. Now we're getting deals in the $31,000 a door, in the same $33,000 a door in the same community, because we're just getting better at it. We're finding people that need to get rid of their apartment complex. They have it primarily paid off, and they're just not doing it right, and they're old and they just want to be done. And so we fit that mold, obviously. And of course, those will not be out there for the general public. New people will not get that. Because again, remember the good brokers, these things can take like 4 or 5 months from the time you put your LOI in to the time you close. And if you waste their time for 5 months, you don't even have lending set up. You waste their time for 5 months, they will never talk to you again once you get a product under contract. So if you happen to find the good broker, I had 10 of them, and I only trust 2 of them after being there for investing in apartment complexes since 2015.
Now, how are you handling the property management side? I mean, before in San Diego, you were right down the street. Yeah, that's
another great question. So we had our little single family guy, and we just took him along for the little multifamily, and there were some growing pains, and there still are some growing pains. And now that we're big enough, now that we have 122 front doors, the big guys, the big apartment complex managers that have already repositioned products over and over and over again, since the 90s, they're looking at us now. And so we're going to be transferring about 55 units right now to another apartment manager that does everything, all bills paid, everything like that. Because they want economies of scale too. They usually want 80 to 100 units, the big ones that have done this over and over again, and they want economies of scale. And so now that we're big enough and we're buying more, they're going to get all the rest of our deals moving forward, plus anything else my little mom and pop property manager, can't handle because he gets kind of overwhelmed.
Now these are not quite big enough to warrant sort of on-site management, right? So do you have people living in the complexes that are helping out?
So these are all, we found a little niche. We found a little area over by Lake Erie, Cleveland, much farther in Lake County, past Euclid. We found this little pocket where it's been one of the only areas that have shown population growth since 2000. And we have 82 front doors in a 6-block to 1 mile radius. And now we got another offer on a 24 unit we're going to put for $31,000 in that same community. So now, so this big property manager is going to has 2 apartment complexes we're giving him, and now anything new, and they're all very close. So the same offsite property manager that they hire just to focus on our properties as we get bigger and bigger, we'll just have one person devoted with his company devoted to leasing those units out. Whereas a little mom and pop that has a couple hundred units, that's getting a lot for one person to handle that and a couple helpers. It's tough for a little mom and pop to do so, especially if they're used to single family and then moving to the multifamily. It's a whole different business model.
Oh, sure. Yeah. But no on-site leasing office. Okay,
no.
Gotcha.
You have to have quite a few units, like you said, at one site. And that's where we want to be eventually. Eventually we want to have, 2 or 3 300-unit apartment complexes. So you don't have as many different apartment complexes. But we'll get there someday.
That's great.
Next 10 years, yeah.
It's great. Well, what would you say, just in the time that you've been doing this, and it hasn't really been a long time, but in the time you have, what would you say your biggest mistake was?
I think the biggest mistake was trying to go from single family to multifamily and not really knowing what I was doing, not really knowing that the commercial brokers that are targeting people in California, Seattle, Hawaii, New York are really sending the bad deals that the real buyers don't want. And so that was my biggest mistake, is I did not know that the brokers, that's what they're targeting right now. And so that was a key mistake that I made, is that I probably should have gone in on my first couple deals with someone else that's already done this and repositioned value plays, so that I didn't lose that $300,000 on my first 2. Luckily, I had 10 condos that doubled in value.
That's great.
Yeah.
And conversely, what would you say your biggest success has been?
So the biggest success, I believe, is that I stuck with it and I learned from my mistakes, and I found out what is the way to do this multifamily thing to be able to reposition value plays. And that was probably my biggest success, besides, of course, getting started. When I first bought those little condos in 2011, people said I was stupid. They're like, well, why in the world would you buy in 2011? The prices are so low, real estate will never come back. And I said, well, I'm just doing it for cash flow. I'm doing it for $300, $400, $500, $600 cash flow per door. And if appreciation happens, it happens, So that's basically was my biggest success, was just getting started and not listening to, the old guard and doing one little rental property at a time and increasing that cash flow to $50,000 one at a time. And then they said, "Oh, God, you were like, you're genius. You bought those at the right time." Right. And then I said, "Yeah, but now I'm selling them." They're like, "Why would you sell them? They're so high. Why would you sell them?" Because they're high, and because I want more cash flow. 50,000, 25,000 for me, 25,000 for my parents. That's good, but that's not as exciting as I want. And so now if I wouldn't have made those two mistakes in the first two apartment complexes, we would have been at 200,000 cash flow right now. We would have been doing a lot better. But right now we're at 160,000 cash flow. And I look at it this way. If you have 10 divisions of your business, if you're a business owner, many of your people that are listening are business owners. If you have 10 divisions of your business and 8 of them are really working well, you see lots of growth, and then 2 of them, you don't see any growth. It's like a dead end. What are you going to do with those 2 divisions of your business?
You're going to cut them off.
Cut them loose. And
yeah.
You got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to fold. You got to know when to walk away. There's a song like that, wasn't it? You got to know when to run.
Know when to hold them.
Yeah. Yeah. So those were kind of mistakes, but I don't know if you're the same, or many of your listeners are the same. We've all made mistakes, and we learned from those mistakes, and we want to do it the best way possible. And value plays are definitely, especially in this rising interest environment, if you want to do multifamily, 5 units or more, you really got to have an exit strategy or a refinance strategy or 1031 strategy 5 years down the line, because these loans are going up. Your interest rates are going up. They're not going to go down 5 years from now.
Well, I mean, you couldn't even do the exact same thing now. I mean, you couldn't. I mean, can you even find condos that would give you that kind of return today in your area? You would.
Again, it was a good lesson, obviously, for me to have 10 condos and for me to be able to self-manage all those 10. So I knew what to do when the property manager is trying to give me certain things that they're doing. And, okay, dude, I already know this. I already know you should be doing this and that. So that helped me a lot in that respect. And so I was buying out of state. So obviously people here in California or Seattle or Hawaii or New York, they need to hoard their money, and you can either wait for this next coming downfall, which it's not if, it's when. They are starting to give loans to morons again, people that don't have good credit, that don't have much money in the bank, and they have to lend. They have to lend even though these prices are going sky high. So somebody making $80,000, $70,000 can buy a $600,000 house, which is kind of ludicrous.
Right.
So that's it's going to happen again. It's not if, it's when. And so obviously right now, if you want to invest right now, then what I would highly advise you to do is don't talk to brokers. Talk to investors that are already investing in that area, that have a team, that has a property management, that has a little residential agent, people that have been successful in that area. Because if you talk to brokers, they're going to they're going to give you the line, "Oh, it's in the path of progress." What that means is, it is bad neighborhood. That's what that means. It's a bad neighborhood. Path of progress means they're disguising it. Path of progress means that it's like in between some trendy areas. It's like a mile, 2 miles away from a trendy area. If you live in a trendy area, you want to be in that area where you can just like walk to the little shop with that little trendy area. You want to be right there. You don't want to be a mile, 2 miles away. That's not the trendy area.
Right.
So right now you're going to see a lot of broken windows, boarded up windows. You're going to see a lot of pawn shops. You're going to see a lot of bars on windows. You're going to see a lot of liquor stores. You're not going to see the big grocery stores there also. So you got to be really careful when these brokers send you deals which are really in D as in dog class neighborhoods, when you really want C class, blue collar, hardworking neighborhoods. And
Sure.
that's what I see happening a lot. So if I was somebody wanting to invest right now, it would be in the Midwest, and it would be from investors that have already invested there, their contacts that can help you to be able to get little single family and their trusted property management also.
Right. So our 50 plus in age audience, that would be your advice to them then is really.
Yeah, call people like me. Call and talk to people like me that have already been there. And I can show you what area. I can give you my little I don't get any money off it. I get my little residential agent, my little property manager. They help me get going. I might as well help them.
That's great. I love it. All right. We'll take you up on that.
Yeah, I'm serious. Not just me, but all the people that you talk to that are investing in a certain area, you need to talk to them and get their contacts.
Oh, sure.
Just got to be very careful. Another great suggestion is if they think they got a good deal, like they're getting this $30,000, $50,000 property in a certain area, what they should first do is what I always do is I Google Earth from the top and I go down, not to the house. I go to the commercial, which is a half a block away, 1 block away, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks away. And if I see any of that stuff I told you about, I see graffiti, I see broken windows, I see boarded windows, I see unsavory characters, I don't see any, trendy stuff, then they are in a D-class neighborhood. Those people that they see walking around there, they are going to be stealing their copper when their place is empty, and they're not even going to turn off the water. It's going to be a mess.
That's great advice.
That's what I would do. And most people don't when they call me. When they don't, they like, oh no, the broker says it's a C-class neighborhood. And I'm like, oh really? Okay, let's go look. And I go look. And I said, no, do you see that? Do you see that? Do you see that? Would you like your 16-year-old niece to be walking there at 10 o'clock at night on a Friday?
Right.
And their answer is always no. I was like, well, why do you want to invest her then? That's not what you're looking for. You told me you want a C-class blue-collar neighborhood.
Right. Great point. Well, looking ahead, where do you want to be? What's your sort of long-term play in all this?
Yeah, so right now, you know where we sit at $7 million in property, $3 million in equity after 7 years. My goal in the next, 10 years, I want to have about 750,000 cash flow. Right now we're at 160. I want to have about 30-40 million in property, maybe 12-15 million in equity minimum, in the next 5 to 10 years. Immediate, where we go from here, immediate is that I'm purchasing little 24 unit, or I'm starting to negotiate another 24 unit in the same area where I know exactly what a 1-bedroom, 1-bath should rent for, what a 2-bedroom, 1-bath should rent for, the same size, because I already own 82 front doors in that 6-block to 1 mile radius.
That's great. Time has just zipped by here, and it's a shame because you've got a lot of great stuff to say. But we're at our point here where we call it our wrap it up session, where I ask you a series of quick questions and you share some quick resources that our folks can tap into. So if you are ready, we'll go ahead and start our wrap it up.
Sounds good. Go for it.
All right. Favorite real estate book?
My favorite real estate book, and I'm living, pages 47 in the hardcover, 47 through 130 in the hardcover, every day repositioning these plays. I've read everything there is on apartment complexes. It's called Multifamily Millions. It's by David Lindahl. Multifamily Millions by David Lindahl. And I'm telling you, I'm living pages 47 through 130 every day on this repositioning products, and it's like golden nuggets of knowledge inside of that book. And I've read everything in apartment complexes.
I love it. How about your favorite general business book?
That one I'm going to have a few. One of the first ones I read was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That was phenomenal. That really got your mindset the right way. And then Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that really helped me to try to make my money like you have in the old dogs right there, make money for us. Rich Dad, Poor Dad was very important. And then back in the day, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People helped me to be very professional and to take that work ethic to put it into the real estate here, of course.
Excellent. How about your most valuable website for success other than your own?
I would say Bigger Pockets is is a great website, networking, because you can talk to other real estate investors. And you got to be careful. There's a lot of brokers out there too, but a lot of investors that have walked down the road that you want to travel. You can find anything you want. If you want to go into apartment complexes or single family, I post on there, also on the forums also.
Oh, that's great. That's great. How about your favorite app?
Yeah, I have two of those. So when I first started, it was this Craigslist app. You can find them. Craigslist apps that, like I told you, every 2 hours I press a button, it goes to the top. I have 8 different ads for each unit, and my property manager doesn't like it, but I really don't care, because it goes to his phone, and so his phone, sometimes the voicemail is completely full, and he doesn't like it. But as I said, I don't care. He needs to rent my place out in a timely fashion. And also, I found out 6 months ago, this Facebook Marketplace online. Oh my! I just placed an ad on there for one of my units, and you renew it every 7 days, but I get thousands of views in a 1 week period. And again, they leave me a message, then I tell them to call my property manager, and his phone rings off the hook. And it's not much work. A lot of people think, "Oh, Swanny, you're doing too much work." No, it's just easy. Just look on your phone, and you I just copy and paste his phone number, my property manager, and who to call and to leave a message. So it's really not that hard. So there's Facebook Marketplace online, free. Craigslist, free.
That's great. That's great. How about your favorite quote?
I have 2 favorite quotes. Number 1 from Napoleon Hill, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it will achieve.
Great.
You got to change your mindset. You got to change your mindset, because a lot of people say, "Swanny, I can't do what you did." And I said, "Well, how much W-2 earned income do you make?" "Oh, I make $300,000. And I'm like, wait, you can't do what I did? How can you not do how can you not do it?" "Well, I have to have my 2 cars, payments at $1,000, and I have to have my country club membership, and I have to have this. And I have to have this." And, well, no wonder. I mean, you're spending more than what you're making, and you make $300,000. So that's a big one. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it will achieve. I have another one by Wayne Dyer that I used to use with my college students a lot. Was these are 18, 19-year-olds, because they really got to change. They got to change the way they think about themselves, because a lot of times they weren't successful. They were kinesthetic learners, and the regular traditional classroom didn't work for them. So this is a really good quote that I use a lot. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change right before your eyes. And so I would tell them a lot. That was by Wayne Dyer. He has books about excuses. People make excuses for everything they can't do. Again, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change right before your eyes.
I love it. Yeah. And final question. If you lost absolutely everything you've worked so hard to achieve here, and let's say your apartment buildings, your home, your assets, all you have is $1,000 in cash, what would you do with that $1,000 to rebuild your real estate business?
Well, if I lost everything, my parents wouldn't invest in me anymore. That would be a tough situation, obviously. They would not be investing in me. They would not be putting half, like we first started, in all these properties, and they have half of all the cash flow. So they wouldn't do that. So if I lost everything, obviously I made a lot of mistakes. So with that $1,000, I would make sure that I would get of course, you need a good job to get loans. So I'd make sure I have a good job that makes a lot of money, working 2 or 3 jobs a week, building up that $1,000 so I can buy a little rental property, start all over again, doing it the right way, based on cash flow. A lot of people don't buy based on cash flow. They buy based on flipping a coin that it's going to appreciate, and just like the stock market, that kind of thing. So that's what I would do. I would do it the good old way of keep that $1,000, make sure I have a reserve account for me and my family built up with 2 or 3 jobs, and then start investing in real estate, started saving for real estate at that time.
That's great. Well, you've kind of already extended the offer here, so I'm just going to kind of re-verify that with you. But you did say, hey, if folks wanted to get a hold of you, that you would be available. And does that still stand?
Yes, they can call me. And I'll get back to them if I'm teaching classes or whatever it may be. I do leave during the school year. I do leave time from 3:15 till 6:15 Pacific Standard Time to talk to people on the phone, give them advice on Mondays. Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. My wife says that's all you can talk about real estate anymore. Sorry, that's it. So she gives me a little time to sit on the patio and talk real estate with people. So they can call me directly. My cell number, which is 858-722-7377. That's 858-722-7377. That's 858-722-7377. And they could also check us out on Facebook. I have a Facebook page that's Swanny Spikes Multifamily Wealth. Swanny Spikes Multifamily Wealth. And that's at Facebook, Instagram. What else is on there? Twitter. We got that on Facebook. And my partner, his number's on there also. That they can call and talk to if they want to, if they're interested in, learning more about opportunities for real estate and apartment complexes, things like that.
That's great. That's great. Any kind of an email or now? Do you have you don't have a website though, right?
We're working on a website right now,
Okay.
but that's not completed right now. But again, Swanny Spikes Multifamily Wealth. Swanny Spikes Multifamily Wealth, and they can look us up there. And then, of course, they can call me anytime again at 858-722-7377, 858-722-7377.
Excellent. Well, we are at our conclusion here. I know there is just a lot of great info that people are going to be able to access, and I'm real thrilled about that. But you do know, we have to close this out with your best old hound dog howl. And I know you've got a dog out there now. It doesn't. I don't know what kind of howl he has, but I know his bark by now.
He's a little. It's a little rat dog. So.
So, if you are ready, do you want to close us out with your best old hound dog howl?
Oh yeah, you ready?
I'm ready.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Wow. Wow, it was kind of scary. It's like somebody was being killed out there, but no, that was great. Great dog howl. I love it. Well, gosh, I cannot thank you enough, Swanny, for being our guest today. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of folks that are going to want to connect with you and, who knows, maybe partner with you or get involved or maybe just, just kind of glean some of your wisdom there.
Yeah, just remember everyone, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change right before your eyes. Don't forget to give me a call if you need to talk to me. I love giving advice.
Thank you, Swanny. Appreciate it. And I also want to thank all our old dog listeners out there, too, for joining us. I know there's a lot of other things you could be doing right now, but the fact that you've taken the time to join us means a lot, and we greatly appreciate it. And please note, old dog listeners, everything presented here today, including all the links that were referenced by Swanny, as well as some of the great resources and other things referenced as well during his interview here, can be accessed in our detailed show notes on the Old Dogs website at olddogsreinetwork.com/blog. Look for the episode with Swanny, Michael Swann here. You'll be able to get all those great notes as well. Well, that's the show for today. Remember, cash flow is king and real estate investing the means. Until next time, keep moving forward and may God bless.
Thank you very much for visiting the Old Dogs REI Network. We would greatly appreciate if you would stop by iTunes and let us know what you think of the show. We would love if you could subscribe to the podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and write a review. The more ratings and reviews we receive, the more visible the podcast will be to others. Thank you.